This is a special edition for Rome Direct for the Papal visit in Korea in August. I'm Jan Benz for EWTN News. I'm in Rome right now at the Gregorian University, and with me here is Father Dennis Kim from Korea, a professor here at the Gregorian. Welcome, Father Dennis.
Thank you.
Pope Francis will visit Korea. He is the first pope to go since 1989, and he chose this country as the first Asian country to visit.
Yeah.
So this is something very special.
Exactly.
Now, what is the atmosphere in Korea right now as expectation?
In general, whether Catholics or not, the Koreans are very excited and wait with joy, as you said. So this is the first papal visit since 1989, and also the first country in Asia the Holy Father Francisco is going to visit. So there is a special recognition from the Holy Father. And though the Korean Catholic Church is young, it's very dynamic and has growth, has made a growth very recently. So Holy Father can see this young and dynamic church. And secondly, also there is an expectation of the renewal of the Korean Church. In other words, the Holy Father can bring refreshment or give inspiration or sense of direction to the Korean Church. There has been expectation that regarding the clericalism or regarding the authoritarian the leadership style in the Church. So the Catholics has a sense of we need to renew our church. And also in the larger society, there's a strong need and the hunger for peace, not only between North and South, but within the South, and also the whole region in the East Asia. So the church can contribute something more than what we have done. And in this regard, Holy Father can inspire and stimulate us. So there is a very excitement and expectation for his visit.
So it is not just the church in Korea that waits for the Pope, but it's also the general population. They know about it. Are they excited as well, even the non-Catholics?
Yes. Holy Father has been very famous, Francisco, since he became the Pope. So his style and his reaching out to people. For instance, he hugged this figured person, or his invitation of the homeless to his birthday meal. All these actions, his words are very much reported in the popular media, in addition to the Catholic media. So Korean Catholic has followed very much what he has done and what he has said, including the recent papal visit to Holy Land. Yeah. So there is excitement and also expectation, not only from the Catholics, but also from the general, the Koreans.
Now, the Catholic Church in Korea has grown in the last decade. It has grown over 70%, in fact, and there's now, I think, 10% of the population is Catholic. So that's a lot of people,
right.
Even for an Asian country,
Yeah.
for a country that's not rooted in Christianity. So why do people become Catholic in Korea? What is attractive about the message that the Church has to offer?
I can say a lot about this issue. Yes, when we look at when you compare the other Asian countries, the growth of the Korean Catholic Church is really, really exceptional. Yeah. And very interestingly, the Universal Church actually invests a lot. In Japan or before the China, but not much in Korea. But the real growth has happened in Korea. Why? So I have wondered this question for some years. First, I like to mention that there is a spiritual hunger. So if we ask the Koreans who recently became the Catholics, then they would say, "Oh yeah, I became a Catholic because I like to find peace, the peace in mind and heart." That reveals the recent Korean history has been in a very rapid transition. As we know, The Korea was in a colony and also experienced war and very poor in the 1960s, and for the past half decade, half century, Korea made very rapid development. So out of this rapid transformation and changes, there is people come to search for deeper meaning of life, and also the traditional community has been dissoluted. So they are searching for new community. So out of this background, there is a spiritual hunger, I have to say. And secondly, then even though there is a spiritual hunger, then why do people choose Catholic Church in comparison to other religions? Then I would say the Catholic Church acquired the credibility and a moral authority in comparison to other religions. So if we ask the Koreans, which religion do you prefer among the many religions, the Protestant, Buddhism, or the other sects, then still the number one, the public poll indicate the Catholic Church. Why? So that shows that the Catholic Church has acquired the credibility. So why? I would say the first one is the historical context. There is no resistance toward Christianity for Koreans. So Christianity was not the religion of the colonizer. And the second one, a more recent one, is Korean Church under the leadership of the former Archbishop of Seoul Diocese really try to implement the Vatican II, the spirit of Vatican II. In this regard,
now, you said the growth is very fast, and that also means that many of the young people convert. Now, they find the Catholic Church attractive, and I'm sure that they also find the person of Pope Francis in a specific way attractive, with all of his gestures. And he's also a pope that cares about dialogue and about peace. And we saw that during the visit in the Holy Land. So what would you say is, especially seeing the problems in society, so the rapid growth and also the focus of the youth on the communications, on a very fast culture that gives you new impressions all the time, and the Catholic Church that is maybe in comparison to that slower and bring her message because her message is older. How do you see what the Pope can bring to especially the young people in Korea?
Okay. First of all, I think the messenger is the message itself. So, especially in this high-tech world, almost all the Koreans use smartphone, and so all the news are very quickly spread out. So especially the younger generation is attracted by Pope is his reaching out and his very honest way of speaking and interacting with others, and his respect, especially for the marginalized and the poor, that really attract the younger generation. So that's the first one. The messenger is the message itself. And the second one, I think the younger generation, especially nowadays, live in a very insecurity situation. The job situation is very precarious, and the family is very fragmented, and the future is uncertain. So there's a deep sense of insecurity. So I think the Papa Francisco has understand this very much and has shown his concern. So he addressed about the unemployment of the younger generation several times. So younger generation needs this understanding and accompaniment and affirmation. So that will be important. And then I really like the message that he conveyed at the last year, the World Youth Day. Basically, he invites this younger generation, to go out the street and make noise, and don't be afraid to bring Christ every corner of your life and into the society. Make noise. It's very joyful, the message, and also it is challenging, but it's not in a way of threatening. it's a very joyful invitation. Usually, the younger generations are treated as a object for the mission, or student that they need to be learned or educated. But the Pope, the Papa Francisco, invite them as a companion, for mission. So they are the subject for their mission. I think this is a really good message for them. And so younger people will feel that they are respected, they are recognized, and they are invited to this very important mission.
You talked about the fragmentalization of family and the disintegration of it. Now, the Koreans are a people that are very focused on family traditionally, also because of Confucianism.
Right.
Now, is Confucianism in that regard a help for the Catholic Church? So does the Catholic Church match with some of the principles? Is it more an obstacle, or is it something? How is that addressed?
Okay. First of all, regarding the family, yes, Korean society has been very family-oriented society, like the other many sort of traditional societies. But unfortunately, nowadays it's in a rapid transition. So high ratio of the divorce, and also the high ratio of suicide that reveals the unintended consequence of this rapid modernization. So yes, truly the Confucianism is still strong elements of the Korean culture, but perhaps more nowadays, this modern and capitalistic culture are more influencing the Korean culture. So I like to say that your question about Confucianism in the context of evangelization of culture. So each culture, every culture needs to be evangelized. So in the modern Korean culture, there are Confucian elements, or Buddhistic elements, or very modern capitalistic cultural elements. So those each cultural elements need to be discerned well, and the Catholics need to work for this evangelization of a culture. So regarding the Confucian, particularly Confucian culture, well, the concern for the community or the emphasis on solidarity, that matches well with our Catholic tradition. So that needs to be promoted. But if the Confucianism is used as a justification for the hierarchical relationship, for instance, disregard for women, then that needs to be resisted. Yeah. So likewise, the other capitalistic elements, like if the contemporary culture treat the human beings as a means for the profit, for economic means, then that needs to be resisted, and the Catholic needs to be fight against it. That has been the Catholic social teaching. Yes.
Now, South Korea in its history did experience persecutions of Christians, and the Pope now will beatify 124 martyrs during his visit. What is the significance of that and of those martyrs for the Church today?
Yes, that has as you know, that the Korean Catholic Church was founded not by the missionaries from abroad, but by the lay people voluntarily from within. So again, this beatification will be the affirmation of that tradition. And also this beatification will confirm that our sort of the vocation to become a witness in the modern world. Surely there is no religious persecution nowadays. Yeah? There is a religious freedom. But very interestingly, we need still new forms of discipleship, new forms of martyrdom, new forms of witness. So that is similar to when the Catholic Church became the official religion in the Roman Empire time after the martyrdom. New forms of discipleship, new forms of the martyrdom has emerged. That has become the source of this monastic movement. So in this sense, how to become a witness in this contemporary democratic and the capitalistic world. So that's the task, not only for the Korean Catholics, but also for all the Catholics in Europe or in America, on the end of the world. So,
The martyrs suffered persecution. Now, there is no persecution in the south of Korea. In the north, there is. And you do have the separation of the country that the Koreans suffer a lot from. Pope Francis made a lot of gestures of peace during his holy trip to the Holy Land. What do you expect from him? What do you expect from him? What kind of gestures, what kind of actions do you expect from him to overcome or to give a sign of peace for this separation in your country?
I think personally, I have a little bit of the expectation. Peace is very crucial. Peace and reconciliation is very crucial witness. The Church can contribute not only to Korea but also to the East Asia, including China and Japan and this part of the world. First of all, the Holy Father will celebrate the Mass for the peace and reconciliation in the Cathedral of the Seoul Archdiocese during his visit. And Cardinal Yum, the Archbishop of the Seoul Archdiocese, already invited the representatives from the North Korean Catholic churches. So far, we don't have a response yet, but so let's see how it will go. So that's already the scheduled. The other one.
Do you think that there is a real possibility of the Northern Korean Catholics to partake in that Mass?
I will not exclude that possibility. That even this year there will be an Asian game, the sports game, but North Korea decided to send their representatives, their teams, to this Asian game, which will be held in South Korea. So the relationship between North and South is always fluctuating and depending on the political situation and political decision. So I will not exclude the possibility of the North Korean representatives coming down to attend the Mass. Even though I don't know, half and half. So there is a possibility. And on the other hand, it is important to remember the peace issue in the Korean Peninsula is not just depending on the North and South. It is similar to the peace issue of the Holy Land. The peace in the Holy Land is not just depending on between Israel and the Palestinians. It is the whole Arab world and also the Western world, the US and the European countries as well. In a similar way, the peace in the Korean Peninsula, there are many stakeholders. The rivalry between the US and China. The US has emphasized very much on this Asian part, Asia, and the rivalry between Japan and China, and also the competition between North and South. And also Russia is also the stakeholder. So unless somehow the negotiations and the compromises is not done, the peace is not easy. And on the other hand, also due to this historical legacy of this rivalry or competition, this Korea, China, Japan, these countries in a sense are very nationalistic, they're competing. So if the church promotes peace, then we have to promote solidarity and the common good beyond our national boundaries. So I think in that sense, the church can contribute a lot. And in that sense, at the same time, it may take a risk of being labeled as unpatriotic. Yeah.
Do you see a concrete sign that the Pope could give during his visit? What would be significant for the Koreans?
Actually, there has been some suggestions from the lay people. Why not to celebrate the Mass for peace and reconciliation, not within the cathedral, but outside. There is between North and South border. There are sites, so perhaps that's one of the last site for the Cold War. So celebrating Mass over there, then that will be more symbolic, very symbolic. It's like the Bethlehem Wall, or Berlin Wall, that site. That will be very symbolic and recast. And during his message, including the message for reducing the armed race. That will be very significant, the message. Personally, for me, my father came down from North Korea during the Korean War by himself. So all my relatives on my father's side are in North Korea, and I have never met them. No correspondence throughout my life. That has been the big pain for my father. So, this peace and reconciliation is so crucial. But this is also my personal story. And it is not just a particular story of the Koreans. It is the whole story of the forced migrants, separated from their family members. As we know, the Holy Father has a very strong interest in the migrants and the refugees. So this is exactly the story. So that's the one thing that, like celebrating the Mass and the site, that's very symbolic. Or if not the Mass, then stop by the site. Another one would be more institutionally, the Papa Francesco could invite or encourage the Bishops' Conference of the Korea or Japan or possibly China to work together more for peace, that kind of things. So there are many things I hope that Papa Francisco could do for the peace in this region.
Of course. The government now of South Korea, they will also be present during the papal visit.
Yes.
You also have Catholics in the government.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So they will certainly look out for him for a gesture or maybe some guidelines for the future.
Yeah.
So what do you think will remain then for the future years to come in the Church of Korea? What will be the heritage that the Pope will leave, and how will that translate? We see that often with World Youth Days, that
Yes.
afterwards
Uh-huh.
a lot of new spirit is evoked, and a lot of new missions are started, new initiatives, new groups in the certain smaller dioceses and parishes. Do you expect something similar?
Yes, actually. Actually, even before the papal visit, the Korean Church, so several groups and many young people are very inspired and stimulated by what he has done and what he has said. So, first of all, again, the Holy Father has the strong warning against the clericalism several times, and his way of dealing with the others, reaching out to the poor. I hope those will impact our church leadership. And so the Korean Catholic newspaper surveyed what would be the most challenging one for the evangelization in South Korea. So preparing for the papal visit, the number one was authoritarian way of church leadership. That was the number one priority during the survey, including coming from the clergy as well. So that I hope the church leadership can be more open and flexible, and including the consultation with the many different parts of the stakeholders, including lay people and women. So that's the first one. And another one would be the more the Korean churches be more aware of the trend of the younger generation, a communication with the younger generation. Even though the church has grown very rapidly during the past several decades, the recent trend is that Catholic churches losing the younger generation a lot, very fast. So, as the World Youth Day stimulates the younger generation in the whole world, I hope the Asian Youth Day and the papal visit can inspire not only the younger generation, but also the church leadership or the older generation to get engaged in communication and listen to the younger generation and give more space in the church. As Holy Father invite the younger generation as a partner, companion for their mission. And
Will you go to
yes,
Korea?
I'm going to. Fortunately, I'm going to join I'll be there during the papal visit. So yeah, there is excitement. And another one that I hope after the papal visit, Church can engage in more the peace movement. That will be very crucial witness, not only for the Korean Church, but also the Japan and China. I think, in my view, why the Universal Church invest a lot in the Japan or in China, but not much flute. So in comparison, the uniqueness of the Korean Church was, as I said earlier, under the leadership of the Cardinal Kim, the Korean Church really engaged in the historical task of the Korean society. In my view, at the current moment, historical task of the East Asia is the peace. The Korea, China, Japan, and the U.S. America. So what the Church can contribute to that. So I hope after the papal visit, the churches can contribute and work more in this issue.
Very good. Well, Father Dennis, thank you for taking the time. Thank you for all of your explanations. There's a lot of expectation, certainly, so we're all looking forward to the papal visit. So thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much. Yeah.